Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Robbie here. The beginning of Thursday, or as we call it, Turds Day, because we know there's an orange turd in the mix that someday soon we're going to flush that orange turd down. But uh, we've got another MAGA moon, red MAGA moon for you tonight. Why do I say we? It's only me here. You know, I hate when people say we when it's only one person on the show or the video. Anyway, I have another red MAGA moon video for you. And it's a little bit long, but I hope you will watch it because it is actually very interesting. Well, I wouldn't say it's just interesting, but probably very insightful into a look into the mind and the if we can call it that, or the reasoning or the uh, opinions of a typical MAGA moron. And we have seen lots of videos of you know, of them at rallies, fumbling, trying to think of an intelligent answer, and of course they can't. It's not their own fault. They've been brainwashed, and I feel very sorry for them that they can't form a sentence or put an idea together in a cogent way. Let's say. So anyway, I came across this video this evening. It is I guess we can call it a video podcast or radio. I don't know. It's a call-in podcast, a call-in show, and from a guy. I think his name is Brian Shapiro, and the show is called "Pushing the Limits." And so, like I said, it just came up on my screen today, and I thought I'd want to share this with you. Um, as a call-in show, I've never heard of it before. I've never seen it before until now. Uh, I'm sure he gets lots of different kinds of callers. Pro Putin, pro Putin, yeah, maybe pro Putin. I don't know. Pro Kamala or pro Trump or maybe pro Kennedy, or I don't know. But in this instance, he's talking to a MAGA, and he's very they're having I would say they I guess we can call it an intelligent conversation, which might be sort of rare, but take a listen to this first part and you'll see what I mean.
All right, so tell me,
Sure.
what where do I start here? Why are you supporting Donald Trump? I guess let's start there.
For me, he has the policies that make sense.
Which policies?
Honestly,
Like, give me some specifics. What specific policies that you like?
economically, we're not in a good spot economically. I
Okay.
feel that in my day-to-day life.
Okay, so that's your opinion on that, but specifically, like economically isn't a policy. So, like, what specific policies that Trump implemented you disagree with the Democrats on, and you could say, man, I really like that policy. That really helped the economy because he did put us $8.4 trillion in debt, and he left an economy that was terrible compared to the economy that he took over from Barack Obama. So I just want to know, like, what did he do in 4 years? Because you said you like his policies, and I just want to know, like, what policies do you like?
Okay, so I think you can see where this is heading, and this is the um, same type of conversations that we've seen people have with MAGAs at the rallies. They have their opinion. They don't have any facts. They have their opinion. They have what Trump tells them. They have what Fox News tells them, but they don't have any facts. Um, 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 I just like him. I just like him. America first,
Um, so, economically, you bring up the debt.
Sure.
I think the debt has been something to play with for these people. Tough to blame on just presidents, but the debt's out of control. Obviously, everybody says they'll get it under control, but
Okay.
who knows? But and we had COVID.
Right.
We had to spend our way out of COVID.
You think he did a
I
good
don't put
job
that on
handling?
Donald Trump.
You think he did a good
I think
job
he did a
handling
fine
COVID?
job.
So when he said
I think
15
he did a
cases,
fine job.
so when he said 15 cases down to 0, it's going to be gone by Easter. He talked about disinfectant, and he turned his coronavirus press conferences into campaign rallies. Would you define that as a good job?
And so again, we hear he's asked a very good question, a fair question. He has no answer, no facts. They like to say, oh, they like his policies. They can't name his policies, but they don't want to talk about the crap that he did, even though they deny it anyway. They just don't want to talk about it.
I wouldn't define that as defining the government's program of COVID at the time.
Okay, well, we were losing when he left. We were losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day, and per capita, we were one of the worst countries in the world.
I have a feeling this guy doesn't know what per capita means.
Not the worst, but one of the worst countries in the world. And when we have more money than just about any other country in the world, I don't know. I guess I just respectfully disagree with you. I don't think that's good, but that's okay. We can disagree on that. Can you name me a policy that you like?
Just in general?
Well, yeah, because you said you like his policies, not a policy. And I just want to be fair with you. What is it?
In all honesty, I like the idea of America first. I like the idea of a strong America.
But that's not a policy. America first is a slogan. I didn't, with all due respect, I didn't ask you what slogans you like, because slogans mean nothing to me. Anybody can do that.
And again, he goes right back to America first. Then that's all really you can get out of a MAGA. I mean, they just have no thoughts of their own. They just repeat.
You said you liked his policies. I can give you a bunch of Biden policies that worked. The CHIPS and Science Act, capping insulin at $35, for example, helping to raise minimum wage, maternity leave, for example. I can give you a long laundry list of policies that worked. I'm just asking you for one, sir, and you haven't given me one policy.
Yeah. Okay, funding black colleges is pretty nice.
Funding black colleges. So what policy was that?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Wait for it. Wait for it.
I'm not a policy guy. I'm not a political guy.
Fair enough. I understand, but that's fine.
But am I wrong? Did he fund black colleges substantially compared to the past?
You're asking me. All I'm saying is you say you're not a policy guy, but yet you say the reason why you're voting for Trump is because you like his policies. With all due respect, sir, it's hard to have a conversation if you're going to say that. Okay, so you can't name me one policy. Okay, we'll move on from that.
I just did.
Well, that's not what's the policy? What's the bill? You can't even
I don't know the name of it, man.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
So he just threw money at black colleges, but you don't know the policy.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. I don't know what policy you're talking about, but we can move on from that. No problem.
Okay. So this guy is not a policy guy, but yet he likes Trump's policies, but he can't name any of them.
Does it bother you that he's a 34-count felon? Does it bother you that he's a liable sexual abuser? Does it bother you that he calls our brave men and women suckers and losers? Does it bother you what happened on January 6th? Does it bother you that he still hasn't conceded the 2020 election?
Okay, I just want to stop for a second to make a correction. I don't know when this video was made, when this caller made a call, but there is a report recently, and I saw it. Trump has said that he lost the election. He said he lost by a whisker, is what he said. And the video is out there. It was in a recent interview. I don't know with what reporter or what channel or organization it was, but I saw the video. He said, I lost by a whisker.
Does any of that behavior, forget about whether you think it's criminal or not, does any of that behavior bother you at all?
To an extent, sure.
Okay, well, I appreciate
not a large enough extent not to vote for him.
So
to an extent, yeah.
So policies, even though you couldn't name any, with all due respect, policies are more important to you than principle, morals. Is that a fair assessment, or I don't want to mischaracterize your take.
In the choices that were given, legitimate choices of people to vote for.
Okay, why is
I'm going to go with policy
Okay, but you didn't name any policies, but that's okay. We've been there before.
It's like talking to a wall. And that actually might be an insult to walls, but that's the only analogy I can come up with right now.
We've talked about Trump, sort of. I want to get your what do you not like about Kamala Harris? Is that a fair question? What do you not like about her?
It all seems fake. The joy thing. She's flip flopped on a lot of different issues. She seems like a nice lady.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what they want her to win on. And I'm not against a woman president by any means.
Okay.
But from the things she said in the past to now, it doesn't smell right. And I know exactly what you're going to say.
Well, it's hard
Trump
for me.
Is the same thing.
No, I wasn't going to bring up Trump. Trump. I just wish you'd be. So it bothers you. Her laugh, her fake joy, her laugh bothers you. But the fact that Donald Trump is a liable sexual abuser, that's not that big of a deal to you. Let's just talk about policy. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yes, I think we all see where you're going with that. It's just another, oh, I don't like her because there's too much joy. It's fake joy. I don't like her laugh. I don't like her. I don't know. I just don't like her. The things she said in the past. Well, what things did she say in the past? Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you a little spoiler. He can't name anything that she said in the past that he didn't like. Let's go on.
January 6th, lying about the election, a liable sexual abuser, 34-count felon.
How much sex trafficking has gone up since Biden's been president?
Actually, I'll answer that.
To do against that.
So my question was about Harris, but I will answer that question. Do you know, sir?
Well, you brought up liable sexual abuse.
Sure.
That's why I bring it up.
Well, is Joe Biden a liable sexual abuser? Is Kamala Harris a liable?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Where was that proven in a court of law? Okay, where was that proven in a court of law?
In a court of law?
Yeah. Oh, so you laugh about the courts.
No,
so we could just, so you're laughing about the courts. So we could just call somebody a sexual abuser, and that means that person's a sexual abuser.
So, of course, this is, again, their argument. The courts are rigged. The election was rigged. The court is fake. The election was fake. The courts are corrupt. The judge is corrupt. It's just typical. This is the typical type of conversation you can have with a MAGA who really knows nothing and just absorbs whatever garbage Trump and Fox and OAN and all the others, throw at them, and then they just spit it out like it's fact. It really bugs me that this guy, he sounds intelligent enough, and it bugs me that he hasn't gone out and really researched truth, but anything that he'll find, he'll say, oh, I don't believe it. And so, you'll hear that from people at the rallies too. When you give them a fact, they say, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Well, I just don't believe it.
And it doesn't have to be proven in a court of law, and you're laughing at that? Donald Trump was proven liable in a court of law with a jury of his peers that he sexually abused a woman by the name of Eugene Carroll. He has 25 plus women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife in a court deposition. But you're making a claim that is totally unsubstantiated, that Joe Biden is a sexual abuser? Where are you getting that from?
Well, I'd say the Eugene Carroll thing's a joke.
Okay, so you think our courts are a joke. Okay, so what about the other 25 women? Are they lying too?
I don't know. Who's lying about Joe Biden, right?
Well, where has it been substantiated?
Court of law.
Yeah, where has it been substantiated that Joe Biden is a sexual abuser? Well, what can you tell me about that? Because maybe this is breaking news. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, have you checked out Ashley Biden's diary?
I'm really surprised he didn't bring up the fake Pizzagate or the fake story about Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and other people drinking baby's blood. That is that's Alex Jones territory, and a lot of these people get their information or got their information from Alex Jones.
Or is that a
Yes, I
conspiracy
have.
theory?
Let's talk about Ashley Biden's diary. First
Let's
of all,
do it.
yeah, let's do it. First of all, Ashley Biden was the first person at the DNC that introduced her father, number one. Number two, she stands by her father. Number three, that diary was in the hands of 3 or 4 right-wing nutcases that stole the diary, including a guy by the name of Mr. O'Keefe. It has never been proven or substantiated that she even wrote that in the diary. But I'm sure you weren't aware of that. But you would rather look at and take something that his daughter wrote in a diary. By the way, even in the diary, even if it was real, which we don't know if it was, she said borderline maybe inappropriate. Okay. You have a woman in a court of law that said that Donald Trump raped her. It was proven based on evidence in a court of law that Donald Trump raped her. So you want to laugh
Well,
at,
how much did she win? How much
hold
did she
on,
win
hold
in
on.
that settlement?
Here's my question. I don't care about the money. Okay. Here's the problem that I have
she said
here.
it was sexy. She said it was
Okay.
sexy
So does that mean
on
that
live television.
so does that mean that it didn't happen?
I'm saying this woman maybe isn't the parameter
Right.
of
But,
what you
okay.
should be listening
So
to.
you don't think this
These are
woman
New York socialites, they're free.
Okay, so you don't think that's a parameter, E. Jean Carroll, even though a jury decided he's a liable sexual abuser, a man who has 5 kids with 3 different women, a man who's had 25 women have accused him of sexual assault or rape, but you want to go by and call Joe Biden a sexual abuser because a diary that was completely unverified, never proven in a court of law, that was in the hands of Mr. O'Keefe and other right-wing turds that stole the diary. Do you see where I'm going with this, sir? It's an issue of credibility. This is the man who bragged about sexual assault, who said, if she wasn't my daughter, I would date her. By the way, how can you explain the fact that he was on the Jeffrey Epstein flight log 7 times, mingling and hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein? Or does that not bother you at all either?
I mean, it's a cause for concern, but listen, these people of this ultra wealthy status, which I'm against, that's probably one of my biggest knocks on Donald Trump. They catch rides all the time because they're jet setters.
So Trump is a jet setter, and he was just hitching a ride because they're jet setters, always on the go. You know, those New York socialites are always jet setting everywhere, just hitching a ride.
Okay. Doesn't necessarily mean anything went down.
But you know who wasn't on? You know who wasn't on that? You know who wasn't on that flight log? Joe Biden.
I guess Kamala Harris or Joe Biden.
Yeah, they weren't on that flight
Biden.
log. Can you show me one picture of Joe Biden mingling with Jeffrey Epstein? Because I can show you pictures and videos of Donald Trump. Does that not bother you at all?
It's a bad look, no doubt.
It definitely is a bad look. We agree on that.
But I mean, we're okay. Yeah, sure. It doesn't look good.
He sounds like Trump having a brain freeze.
So what are your criticisms of Kamala Harris? I mean, you're making fun of her laugh. I've given you.
I didn't say anything about her laugh.
Well, you said it's fake joy.
You're painting
fake joy.
The campaign is based on the idea of joy.
Sure.
When I tuned in,
here's what I tell you.
You
know why I say that, sir? And you can tell me whether you disagree or not. I've been to both Trump rallies and Kamala Harris rallies. The Trump rally I went to a few months ago. Yeah, I try to hear both sides. That's why I'm keeping you on the line, because I think it's a good conversation. I went to the Trump rally, okay, in Vegas. I saw a bunch of F Joe Biden shirts. I saw Confederate flags. By the way, I videoed this and I documented it. A lot of hatred, a lot of bigotry. And when I say joy, I went to the Harris rally several weeks ago. I didn't see any vulgarities. I didn't see any Confederate flags. All I saw was Waltz, and I saw Harris flags, and people were smiling, laughing, and having a good time. Now, I'm not saying that every person that goes to a Trump rally is filled with bigotry and hate, but the rally that I went to, there were a lot of people that were filled with bigotry and hate. And in my opinion, it's why the KKK, it's why the Proud Boys, and so many hate groups in this country support Donald Trump, including David Duke. So when I say joy, sir, I mean, I didn't feel any negativity or hatred when I went to the Harris rally. There were a lot of people enjoying themselves, having a good time. Do you disagree with that characterization?
Somewhat. Yes, I do.
Okay, so tell me where I'm wrong. Go ahead.
I'm sure the 5,000 Palestinian protesters outside the DNC weren't very happy.
Okay, so hold on. Let's backtrack. There were no
5,000. It's not that much.
Let's backtrack. I was just talking about rallies. There were no Palestinian protesters at any of the Harris rallies that I have been to. if there are
that you've been to.
Okay, if there were protesters outside of a venue that are chanting horrible things, guess what? The Harris campaign doesn't approve. And guess what? You're making my argument for me. Those Palestinian people that were protesting are not voting for Kamala Harris. I'm talking about the supporters that support Donald Trump that were wearing the bigotry and the Confederate flag, which once Donald Trump, by the way, defended. The people that you're describing are not supporting Kamala Harris. I'm not talking about protesters. I'm talking about your supporters.
Just like Trump, just like he's taught, just like this guy was taught by the orange turd. Evade the question, move on to something else that you don't like. What do they call it? They call it projection and deflection. That's what they do. Evade the question, deflect, and project. That's all they know how to do because they can't answer a question.
What else about Harris? Because I haven't really heard any substance from you. You haven't given me any Trump policies that you like. And on the coin, the flip.
Look, immigration's a problem. Kamala's coming around and saying she wants to do more of a.
Sure.
Immigration's a big problem.
I agree.
Economy's a big problem.
I agree. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about immigration.
Sure.
What about the bipartisan bill where MAGA Republicans and Democrats sat at the table, and it was the biggest comprehensive border bill, which, by the way, was supported by the Border Patrol. They endorsed the bill, which would have been the most comprehensive in decades. And then Donald Trump picks up the phone and he calls his Republican senator friends and says, don't vote for this bill. Do you know why? Because it would have made Joe Biden look good, and he cares more about that than what is good for the country. So for people that want to talk about the border situation, which has, by the way, been an issue in this country for decades and decades and decades, here they have a bill that is put forth together with both sides, and Trump tells them to stick it.
But why, even without any sort of new bill you're talking about, why is it that we have 10,000 immigrants coming across our country, living horrible conditions?
Sure.
It's incredible, I think, really. The man is asked a perfectly, I don't like to say perfectly because Trump always says it was perfect, but it was a perfectly good question. And what does he do? He evades the question and changes the subject, deflect, project, evade. It's, I'm so tired of these MAGAs and Trump, but because MAGAs get it from Trump, it's exhausting is what it is. It's really exhausting, like talking to a wall.
And I'm not going to sit here and deny that we have major issues at the border, but we've had those.
That came up when Biden became.
That is not true. Do you see? This is when I get frustrated. I was just going to say, we need to understand that Republicans and Democrats need to come together. Do you understand that there are less people crossing the border illegally now than there were when Trump left office? What you're saying is not true. It's not factually accurate.
I don't believe that.
Well, it's not my fault if you don't believe it. I'm pretty educated on these issues. I talk about them every day.
I live on the border, dude.
Okay, so because you live on the border, you know everything? I'm telling you, look it up. Right now, there are less people crossing the border illegally than there were under the Trump administration. Both parties have made mistakes. They're not perfect. We've had issues at the border for decades. I'm with you on that. But you can't tell me that all of a sudden Trump cares so much about this issue when there were undocumented immigrants that committed horrible crimes under his administration. We never heard about those crimes. Only under the Biden administration we hear about those crimes. And what I am telling you is there was a border bill that was put together with MAGA Republicans and Democrats. It was ready to go. The most comprehensive bill in decades. And Trump picked up the phone and told them not to pass it. Why wouldn't you agree with me that what Trump did was wrong? He put himself before the country.
I mean, that's a nice narrative. I don't know if that's exactly the way you're.
Why did he do it then? Why did he do it then? If you call it a narrative, because what I'm giving you is not a narrative, it's been confirmed by some. Do you know who Mr. Langford is? Donald Trump once called him one of the best Republicans when it came to border issues. He was the main guy that helped put this border bill together. And even Langford was shaking his head and agreeing with Joe Biden during the State of the Union speech when Joe Biden said that it was Donald Trump's fault and MAGA Republicans for why this bill wasn't passed. So that's not a narrative. Langford would agree with me on that. And many of the Republicans that helped put this bill together. I'm not giving you a narrative. I mean, I don't know why you would characterize it as that. Okay, so if you think it's a narrative, why did Donald Trump tell these senators to not pass this bill? It's just a bad bill? Is that why?
Well, from what I understand, there were things in the bill that weren't just immigration focused.
I agree.
You know, there was a lot of pork they called in that bill. Right?
Okay, I agree. But sometimes when you pass bills, I think we'll agree on this, there's going to be positives and negatives, some give and take.
And if you think that's just a one-off where this guy just doesn't know how negotiations are done in Congress, you know, and that he doesn't know how a bill is made, it's not a one-off. Here's a clip for another recent show of his, and you'll see it's just not a one-off.
So why would you call the border bill a border bill?
Because it's a border bill.
That's exactly what it is.
Because that's what it is. The majority, hold on, I'm answering your question. The majority of the bill addressed the border. There were other issues in the border bill, but the majority of the bill put forth addressed the border. So I don't understand. Are you saying it's not a border bill? Is that what you're trying to? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm saying 17% of the funds actually went to the border, and 83% went to Ukraine.
Okay, so it's not a border bill because of that. Is that what you're saying?
So why are they marketing it as a border bill?
Because it's a border bill. Because it's a border bill. The main reason why Republicans, I'm telling you, the main reason why Republicans and Democrats got to the bargaining table was for addressing the border. Yes, they addressed a lot of other issues as well, including our allies in the Ukraine. Absolutely. But to say that it's not a border bill is, I'm sorry, that's just you're not being factually accurate.
Would you say it's more of a Ukraine bill or a border bill?
I would say it started as a border bill, and there's other things in the bill that address other problems as well.
Which is how that's how legislation works, though. Wait, but that's how legislation works. That's how legislation works. Most bills are not just one thing.
No, that's
how legislation works. No, that is how legislation works. That is how life works. That is how laws work.
Do you see what I mean? It's frustrating, and like I said, it's exhausting talking to these people because they don't understand things. They're just told what to say, what to think without any meaning or understanding or concept. It's frustrating and exhausting. And I feel for this guy. He probably gets a ton of calls like this every week. And they just, maybe 1 out of 1,000 MAGAs learn something and try to research it in the right way and try to find out for themselves. But it's just exhausting.
The problem I have with this conversation, with all due respect, is I asked you why you were supporting Donald Trump. That was my first question. You said you like his policies. You didn't even say policy. You said policies. And you couldn't name me one policy that you know of. I find that extremely problematic. And then when I asked you your criticisms of Kamala Harris, you said you think she has fake joy, which would be a personality trait you don't like, which I would also disagree with. So here on one side, you like his policies. You can't name me one. On the other side, you don't like Kamala Harris because she has fake joy. I'll let the listeners decide on that one.
So I hope that you have stayed around for the end of this video, what you've watched it through. I know it's a little bit long. It's not the short ones like I usually try to do, but I thought this was really very interesting. And, if you could, it's like if you could sit down with a MAGA and talk to them, this is the type of conversation you're going to have. It's like it's universal, really. I'm sure there are probably a few here and there that do know the issues and they can name a bill or two, but it all comes back to, I like him, I don't like her, she's fake, the courts are corrupt, the jury was rigged, the election was fake. That's what it all comes back to every single time, and that is what is frustrating and exhausting. So thank you for watching. I want to give really a lot of credit to Brian Shapiro of Pushing the Limits. I'm going to try to watch more of his call-ins and other videos that he's got. I think it's very interesting. I think that he's very informed and informative. And I think that he really is trying to help the MAGAs see the light, to see where they're wrong. And that is a tough job, and I give him a lot of credit for that. So again, thank you all for watching, and comment and like and subscribe and smash the bell, as the kids like to say. And also check out Pushing the Limits. That seems to be a really good show. I think you might like to watch more of that. So it's Mr. Robbie saying from the Red Room, the Red MAGA Moon Room, you'll see me later.